Thank you, Soraj.
Okay, so this is not exactly about genetics, but I have just completed a talk on this topic, and I think it's a good idea, to share what I'm doing with the group. It's about the new. It's not exactly new. It's 4 years old now, but the law was passed in 2015 in order to respond to some of the scandals that happened right before that time. So it's about mother surrogacy. More specifically, it's about gestational surrogacy, where you have another woman who is not genetically related to the owner of the egg, that is being fertilized in vitro, in the test tube, so to speak. And then there are some provisions in the law that I think are quite interesting. So I gave this talk 3 years ago, back in 2016 in Hong Kong. They would like to talk about, what laws are there in which countries, and they would like to compare the surrogacy laws in various countries. So background, outline consists of background of the new law, and then the content, some of the important content of the new law, and then my own ethical analysis. Okay. So background, I think many of us know already that Thailand has been a popular center for transnational surrogacy, and this is new. This is just come up this year. A paper has reported that as a result of this new law, which in effect the one of the effects of the 2015 law is that the law effectively banned foreign couples coming from abroad looking for surrogacy practice in Thailand. But that does not mean the end of the practice of the service in Thailand, and that is new. That is just my new knowledge. What happened is that both the doctor and the whole system, the clinic, the nurses, and everybody, including the surrogate mother, and of course the commissioning couple, they moved to Cambodia. And Cambodia does not have the same kind of law that Thailand just put into effect. So the whole thing just moved outside of the border, and it's easy to go to Cambodia. You can just drive there. So it is as if the whole practice does not go away. It only goes away from the kind of the border of Thailand. So there were two high-profile cases that got into the attention of the public, and these cases became international scandals. One is baby case. A couple from Australia were looking for a gestational surrogate mother in Thailand, and the mother got twins in her pregnancy, but the couple only wanted one child, one member of the twin, and then the other, the brother, the twins were a boy and a girl. The couple wanted a girl. The girl was healthy, normal, everything, but the boy he had Down syndrome. So the couple did not want the boy, and they kept the boy with the surrogate mother, and that kind of gave rights to the scanner, so it became known to the public. In reality, all these kind of things are kept very, very low profile, very kind of hush-hushed in Thailand. So that was became international scandal. And another case involved a Japanese man. Somehow he wanted to become a father to a large number of babies. So he commissioned the service of the surrogate clinic, and he produced a large number of babies using his sperm.
How many?
More than 10. I can look it up. You can look it up. There will be, I think, details in my slide. I don't remember about baby coming. That was some time ago. But same kind of scandal. You can look on this up. And this is about baby gammy. The girl in the picture is the surrogate mother, a Thai woman, and the baby is the boy who had Down syndrome. Baby factory. A man fathers 16 surrogate children. His name is Mitsutoki Shigeta, 24 years old, a lawyer from Japan. So all this happened in Thailand before the law, the 2015 law was put into practice. Another news report: gay couple win custody battle against Thai surrogate mother. So this also happened in Thailand. A gay couple wanted to have their own child, so to speak, and the mother ended up wanting to keep the baby, so a legal battle ensued. And in the end, the Thai court, that was a first for the Thai court. The court ruled that the gay couple, the commissioning couple, had custody of the baby, as you see in the picture. So the new law, it was new back when I talk about it. It was passed by the National Legislative Assembly, which was appointed by the junta, the military coup d'etat government, and passed into law on May the 1st, 2015. The actual title, literally translated, is Protection of Children Born Through Medical Technology Assisted Reproduction Act, Buddhist era 2558, which is 2015 Christian era. Provisions. The law established the Commission on Protection of Children Born Through Medical Technology Assisted Reproduction, consisting of some higher members of the government and some experts, including the Undersecretary of Public Health, the President of the Medical Council, representatives from various ministries such as Human Development, Department of Health, Commission on Child Protection. So all these have their representatives in the commission. Presidents of the Royal Colleges, so these are medical doctors, pediatrics, psychiatry, and OBGYN. 6 experts in relevant fields. So all these comprise the commission. And the law outlined the authority and function of the commission. Then only licensed medical personnel, meaning medical doctor licensed by the Medical Council of Thailand, can perform surrogacy. And there has to be a mandatory examination of the surrogate mother and the couples to see whether they are fit for the whole thing. And this is interesting. The law also talks about pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. So, the tie-up with the overall theme of this conference, like genetic. The law allows for pre-implantation genetic diagnosis and other tests on the embryo during the first 14 days. So it goes in line with the other laws in the rest of the world. As I remember, the UK has the same law. Another thing which is not directly related to surrogacy, but the law talks about it nonetheless. Artificial insemination is allowed under the regulations of the medical council. So in case the fault lies with the father, in case where the father has some faulty sperm, the law allows for artificial insemination using using sperm from a donor. As for surrogacy itself, the commissioning couple have to be Thai citizens. So by this provision, the law in effect bans foreign couples coming to Thailand to do surrogacy. Or else they must have been legally married for no fewer than 3 years. So in fact, foreign couples can come to Thailand, but they have to be legally married. But there is the second provision: the surrogate mother has to be related by blood to either of the commissioning father or mother. So if a foreign couple come to Thailand, they have to bring their own surrogate mother, which are like sister of the wife or sister of the husband. Otherwise, you cannot find a Thai because they are not related anyway. Exceptions can be made under the regulation of the medical council. So the medical council controls the show, and in case a couple do not have a surrogate mother who are blood related to either of the man or the woman, the doctor can find one. So that is a loophole in the law, allowing for some practice possibility that the surrogate mother does not have to be related by blood to the commissioning couple. Surrogate mother has to have one child already. Use of donated egg from a third person is allowed. So not from the surrogate mother, of course, not from the commissioning mother, because there may be some complications with the mother. That's why they seek for surrogacy in the first place. But the egg of the surrogate mother, of course, is not allowed. Otherwise, there will be much further complications. No surrogacy can be performed for commercialization purposes. Now, this can be interpreted in various ways. And I have made my own analysis of this provision in the law. Ministry of Public Health will issue announcement of fees for surrogacy. So even though the law bans commercialization, in the same law they talk about announcement of fees for the surrogate mother. Something like for compensation for the time and the risks carrying the baby. Termination of pregnancy can be performed with written authorization by both the commissioning parents and the surrogate mother. But if the surrogate mother does not give her consent, then the surrogacy contract becomes null and void. Meaning that if the commissioning couple want to terminate the pregnancy and thereby terminate the contract, this can be done with written authorization by both the commissioning parents and the surrogate mother. So both sides have to agree that there will be a termination. But in case the surrogate mother does not consent, the law gives power to the surrogate mother because she is the one who carries the baby. So if she wants to keep the baby, then she can do it. And if the surrogate mother does not consent to the request for termination, then the contract becomes null and void. So just the end of it. And the surrogate mother carries the baby. and no advertisements of services is allowed. So who are the legal parents? And a new thing in this 2015 law is that the law is clear in saying that for the purpose of the civil code, the legal parents of the baby born through surrogate mother, the legal parents are the commissioning couple. And this goes against the tradition of Thai law, because the tradition of Thai law in the civil code, it says that whoever bears the baby is the mother. So the law is very clear. In case of surrogacy, done under the provisions of this law, the legal parents are the commissioning couple, and the egg donor can claim no right of being the parent, even though genetically, it's her egg, but only the commissioning couple. So the one who pays the money to the doctor, right? I want to have a baby, and the doctor does things for them in order for them to have a baby. Okay, analysis as to the ethics of it. Long history of deliberation on surrogacy. Thai lawyers and medical doctors and scholars have been debating about surrogacy for much longer than the new law, than 2015. So back like 10 or 20 years ago. Emphasis on the role of the medical council. What I mean here is that the doctor has been given a lot of leeway, a lot of freedom, a lot of authority to decide things. So the idea is that the doctor knows what is best for the couple. I don't know, we can talk about this, but that is what happened in the law. And I know some inside information before the law was passed. The group of people who had kind of the most role to play in drafting and passing of this law are the doctors themselves, gynecologists, obstetricians, members of the Royal College of OBGYN. So they play the most part in passing the law. So you can see why doctors play a lot of role in this law. And there is a strict ban on commercialization, so no advertisement, no middleman, no kind of thing that gave rise to the scandals. However, there are loopholes, as I said. Many regulations of the medical council specified in the law have not been drafted. So you see that some of the provisions in the law mention regulations of the medical council. And also regulations or rules of the Ministry of Public Health. At least as of the time I wrote this, like 3 years ago, no regulation had been passed as far as I know. I did not do my follow-up research. I don't know whether this year there have been further regulations actually passed by the medical council on this topic or not. I have not seen this in the news, so my understanding, my guess is that they try to keep the issue quiet. So no further regulations. Surrogate mother has to have at least one child already, and that that is I talked about this already. So loopholes. Medical council tends to look at the matter on a case-by-case basis. I got this information from a member of the medical council themselves. I was lucky enough to sit in one of the committees where they come and they talk about the new law. And then what they do is that they look at the issue. Whenever issues on surrogacy and the practice of their members, gynecologists, come to their attention, they tend to look at the matter on a case by case. So meaning that there are a lot of details and they have to look at the details on each case. And then Buddhist scholars, that is my analysis, tend to be more conservative, meaning they tend to, be far back in the past, and they try to keep things the way they should be as before. Not me, but some other Buddhist scholars in Thailand, quite conservative. So I think this is all for my talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Soraj. Would somebody like to ask a question, or should we get a surrogate? John, are you using yourself or surrogate? Question.
Well, I'll be my own surrogate. Yes, sorry. Two things. One, when you say Buddhist scholars tend to be more conservative, or a lot of them are, I presume you mean that they have, or the conservative ones have some sort of religious opposition to it. It's not just a matter of it being in the past, but it's sort of a religious thing.
Yeah, they have their own arguments.
Yeah. And the other point is, just can you remember what was the outcome of that first case you mentioned where this Australian couple had twins?
I think I remember, thank you. As for Buddhist scholars, by being conservative, I mean that they tend to be critical and wary of any new technology, and they don't agree in general with an introduction of new technology to create new situations. So, for example, they have been very strong against abortion. They have been so for like a long time. And their argument is that abortion is murder because the baby is human being. And when it comes to IVF or test tube babies or use of technology to help in fertilization and in reproduction, they tend to be kind of, at least ambivalent toward the issue, and they tend to emphasize the idea that the babies or the whole process, they tend to say that the whole process is not a natural one. So it's better to keep to the basics, right? No need for assisted reproduction technology. If you don't have a baby, then it's your karma, you don't have a baby, things like that. However, there are like a minority group where I belong of Buddhist philosophers, Buddhist scholars who are kind of more open, so to speak. And we can talk about this later. And as for babygamy, I think the last development I know is that the surrogate mother, Patramon, her name is Patramon, she's still keeping the boy who has Down syndrome, but she has received quite a substantial sum of support from the Australians, from the couple, and I think from some NGOs in Australia also. So she's doing quite well. But she has developed, she feels that she is the boy's mother, so the boy is growing up as a Thai boy.
Well, she certainly is a mother because she kept him. Yeah, thank you, Lan. Yeah,
She
proof.
carried the pregnancy.
yeah.
I have a more general question, but specific. If, for example, in the West, within about the first trimester, maybe somewhere in there, we determine, medical experts determine that that's when the baby can feel pain or the heart starts to beat or something. In the Buddhist tradition or in Thailand, do you make this distinction? Or is it just from the conception?
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. You ask some of my colleagues, some of them are Buddhist monks, some of them are like lay philosophers. They say life begins with conception and it goes in a continuous development. So you cannot draw the line to say, it's okay to abort the fetus before this line and it's not okay after the line. You cannot find such a line because it's all continuous. It's a standard argument for those who argue against abortion. However, another of my colleagues who used to teach here, who used to be my colleague here at the department, he has retired. Sompan, he wrote a number of books and articles saying that abortion is, I quote from, a necessary evil. It's a bad thing. It will cause negative karma, bad karma, but it's necessary nonetheless because of various reasons for the mother, for society, and so on. So, in Buddhism, according to him, this concept of necessary evil sometimes is allowed, and the same goes for capital punishment. Either he is kind of for the idea of capital punishment, and he says that it's something that society has to do. But I don't agree with him, so we have been debating.
Yeah. Yes, I remember some point, yeah.
In I think it's Augustine, or maybe, I think it might be Augustine. At the time, I think they thought that within the semen is where the actual location of life comes from. Is that Augustine?
That's Aristotle and ancient idea from the Greeks.
So at that time, you're in big trouble if you have a nocturnal emission or if you have any other kind of. So today, I mean, we're going to split hairs, right? Because this is what they do. Today, it's almost to the point where we can take cells from our skin, and create a human being. It's almost there. When that's possible, are we back to the argument of Augustine? Can you wash your hands? Can you take a shower? Because it's deliberate. I just wonder what you think.
Well, that would be extreme.
Right. But while we're here.
Aristotle and Augustine, on these ideas, discount the contribution of the mother because according to them, all the genetic material comes from the father because in the semen there are like tiny human beings.
Right.
And they grow in the woman's womb. So the woman's contribution is only to nourish, to feed the tiny baby until they become big. But if it's possible, it's still there are still some technical challenges to produce a new baby from your skin cells. theory it's possible, but it does not mean that you have tiny human beings in your skin. You know, there are a lot of hurdles need to be, you know, too many hurdles to jump, I think.
More questions or comments? Yes, please. Aldrin.
Good afternoon, Professor Sola. I'm enlightened to your presentation and analysis about the surrogacy and the progress of the law way back 2015. And my question is, it's a point of inquiry about the progress of the regulations of medical council, because you mentioned in your analysis the loophole. There is a law, it was amended 2015, but you mentioned there that the law have not been drafted or publicized. I would like to know why is the law is not being drafted or publicized?
Maybe some mistakes. Yeah, the law right now has been promulgated, put into effect.
Yeah.
It's the law of the land since 2015. However, the law is there, but the bylaws or further regulations which are going to be passed under the provision given by this big law, you know, because this is the big law we are talking about, 2015 Act, and the Ministry of Public Health has the authority to issue regulations under the authority given by this big law, talking about the details of what doctors can do or cannot do. This I have not seen. There may be, they may have passed some regulations already, but I don't know about them. And that's another thing. Another thing is that the medical council itself, it is the body consisting of elected members of the medical profession, and they issue license for practice for doctors in Thailand, and they investigate cases of malpractice, so they can revoke the license of a doctor. So this is a powerful body, and they can issue their own regulations for the doctors who perform surrogacy. And as far as I know, there have not been or they have not issued all of the regulations that are needed or that are that they have been given authority for by this big law. That's the idea.
Thank you.
Okay, other comments? Yes, Dexter.
The legal parents are the sponsors, as you said, Professor. Is there a provision of the law that when the baby comes to legal age, is there a possibility that the boy or the man or the woman can amend this right to claim his right? For example, I don't like my sponsor, but rather I choose my mother, the one who bore me.
The law is silent on this issue. No talk about this whatsoever. It only says that if the baby is born through surrogacy practice, the legal parents, meaning the parents you get inheritance from, you get your name from, right? The commissioning couples, your legal parents. The law does not say anything. So I can imagine a surrogate baby when he grows up and he somehow does not want his commissioning parents to be his parents, so he goes in search for the surrogate mother, he has to go to court,
Yeah.
and then it is the matter of the court. And the court has to look at the tradition of Thai law, the civil code, and so on. I don't know what will happen. It's up to the court, and it's up to the legislature. Maybe they will amend the law and put some new clauses in the law. Yeah, it's possible. We don't know because there's nothing saying anything about this.
Did anyone say anything about like the artificial womb? Have you seen this that they're developing in Japan?
Yeah, I see something in the news.
Probably a long way away, but
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah.
That would solve the problem, although it's really it's really clinical.
Yeah, I attended a meeting and somebody showed a picture of some labs are developing artificial womb, so they do not need the surrogate mother altogether. I don't know. We are going into kind of very strange,
Very bizarre. It's bizarre.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Well, Soraj, I asked you if we have an artificial womb, so in implant, let's say, would you as a man accept the responsibility to some men to take the womb and share wombs? Because perhaps we have to connect it to a body, so we have the option to connect it to the man or the woman. Isn't it fair to have men also being surrogates?
So what's the
Like a cyborg. A cyborg
Put it into the male body, like
Put it in the male body
Oh.
to get the heartbeat and the
So a
sense.
man can become pregnant.
Yeah.
Why not?
Like for example, the transgender, they would like to become pregnant.
Yeah.
But I think that would be possible.
Now we're in the cartoon now. We're not even in the philosophy. It's cartoon.
Well, transgender, yeah, it should be a right to be pregnant, do you think?
I don't know if the physiology of the man is even fit to hold the baby, even if it is artificial. I'm not sure of that. I am not a physiologist.
The artificial womb has all nutrients inside.
Yeah, but I don't think the artificial womb should be implanted in the human being.
The womb can stay outside.
It's an exo.
It's an external.
It's exo.
It's
Yeah.
bizarre.
It's in the laboratory, connected to wires and tubes, but it's not supposed to be implanted. It's like
Really?
anyone.
I think it can become dangerous if it's put into
Yes, of course.
because it's connected to a lot of wires and
Okay,
some electrical things. Yeah.
okay.
It kind of looks like a carburetor, like the engine of a car, right?
Yeah, so
But if you see it,
to
if you
keep
look
the
at a movie,
temperature.
is
Yeah.
it like Gattaca or one of those movies? You see these beds of all these fetuses growing. What is that movie? Is it Gattaca? You see that all of those, they're like in a bag. What we have now is nothing like that. It doesn't look like clean or anything. It's
Yeah.
bizarre.
Any other comments or questions, anyone? So I think surrogacy is certainly a good topic. It's something which quite divided around the world. Yep. Thank you very much, Soraj.
Welcome.